Good morning. All right, the wrestling match. When we think about Jacob's life, there are two words that come to my mind. Too human. In fact, many of the biblical characters in the Bible baffle me because of their humanness. If I were to edit the Bible for the ease of my own soul, I would probably leave out many troubling details of the biblical characters, including Abraham and David. As much as I revere them and respect them as their great men of faith, they are not without faults. And the Bible describes these characters as real human beings. And many times the degrees of details make me uncomfortable. Paul Stevens, in his book Down to Earth Spirituality, talks about Jacob in this way. He says, normally we would not look to Jacob as a model of the holy life. Jacob's name can mean cheat, and he lives up to his name. He's manipulative, deceptive, and aggressive. Jacob is a seriously flawed person growing up in a dysfunctional family. So when you look at his family life, there are questionable attachments within the family. Jacob was mom's son, while Esau was a father's boy. Isaac seemed quite attached to Esau, while Rebekah to Jacob. It seemed that Jacob always wanted to be like his older brother. After all, he took his brother's birthright and his blessing. So deceptiveness and manipulation can very well describe Jacob's life. After all, Jacob's name being heel grabber, a liar, a deceiver, a manipulator, he took his brother's birthright with a bowl of red stew. Deceptively, he received Esau's blessing. And he did not only deceive others, he himself was deceived by other people. He was deceptively treated by his own uncle Laban. After working for him for 7 years, he was given Leah instead of Rachel. And all in all, Jacob worked for Laban for 20 years, and during this time he became quite rich, and not without manipulative effort of getting streaked lambs and goats. Jacob was very human. "20 years later, Jacob was told by God to come back, to go back to his own home. And this means coming to his own brother. We can see that Jacob got really scared, finding out that his brother is in fact waiting for him with 400 men. And what does this mean? Does this mean that Esau is trying to give him an extravagant welcome? Or is he ready to war with him? In fear and distress, Jacob divided his family into two groups, and being a manipulator himself, he positioned himself in the latter group. And he prayed to God, save me from the hand of my brother. And he also prepared an incredible amount of gifts to soothe Esau. Probably this is the most critical moment of Jacob's life, the moment of life and death, the moment of coming back to his brother. If you read further in Genesis, account of this encounter, we read in chapter 33 of Genesis, verses 3 and 4, Jacob himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. What does this scene remind us of? It reminds us of the father's embrace with his prodigal son coming back home. Further down in chapter 33, verse 10, we read Jacob saying to Esau, "To see your face is like seeing the face of God." The author of Genesis certainly implies that his coming to his brother does not only lead to his encounter with God, but it itself is the encounter with God. Coming to his brother is like coming to God himself. Brotherhood is absolutely essential in our walk with God. Community is indispensable in our spiritual journey. But often we separate our relationship with God, me and Jesus, and our relationship with our brothers and sisters. We know that God commands us to love Him and love our neighbors in the same breath. These two cannot be separated from each other. And we come to Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 and 32, which talks about the wrestling match. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. And he says, so Jacob was left alone. A long time ago, I wrote a song based upon this text, just thinking about the fact that Jacob was left alone. And this song is called Heel Grabber. Probably the title itself is in English and everything else is in Korean. So I'll be singing in Korean just to make sure that you know that I'm not singing this in broken English. But I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm all alone, 결국 이렇게 혼자인 것은 이렇게 홀로 남게 될 것은 무언가 잡으려고 했었지. 잘 나가는 사람 발이라도 잡으려 했었지. 그래서 내 이름 Heel Grabber, 발 뒤꿈치 잡는 자. 속여도 보고 속기도 했지. 그렇게 살았지, yeah. But I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm all alone. Yeah, 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 yeah. 팥죽도 쑤어보고 팔아도 보았지. 이를 악물고 버티며 이쁜 아내도 얻었지. 염소 가죽도 입어보며 축복도 가로챘지. 줄무늬 양털 만들어 재산도 모아봤지. 무언가 잡으려고 했었지. 잘 나가는 사람 팔이라도 잡으려 했었지. 그래서 내 이름 heel grabber, 발 뒤꿈치 잡는 자가. 속여도 보고 속기도 했지. 그렇게 살았지. But I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm alone, I'm left alone, yeah. I'm all alone. 결국 이렇게 혼자인 것은 이렇게 홀로 남게 될 것은 그 오래전 돌베개 기억하며. So strangely, being alone can be such a blessing. I know that many of the students at Handong first experience this utter solitude when they come to Handong, because Handong is situated in out of nowhere. And Jacob was alone. And he was wrestling. And that's what we sometimes find. In our aloneness, in our solitude, we wrestle. We are in anguish. And sometimes this anguish can lead us into questioning ourselves. One of the most important questions that often come during this time of loneliness, solitude, is, what am I actually holding on to? What am I holding on to? And this question is very crucial, because while we may think that I hold on to something, it's in fact that something holds me. We may actually think that I have something, but that something has me. So it's important for us to know what to grab hold of and what to let go of. And many times I find myself holding on to something that I should let go of, and letting go of something that I should actually grab hold of. And Jacob used to grab hold of things maybe he should not have. And now we find him letting go of these things. His family, all his possessions, and he is now grabbing hold of the one who alone can set him free. Whoever finds their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. So in his wrestling with God, Jacob was relentless. This is a part of Jacob that I really admire. He's not half-hearted. He's tenacious. He's not apathetic. He wants God's blessing. He wants God himself. In verse 24, it says, a man wrestled with him until daybreak. And we know that the man had to actually break the socket of Jacob's hip. Verse 26, he says, the man said to Jacob, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." And Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me. I will not let you go unless you bless me." I could imagine Jacob thinking in his mind that in the past I may have let him go, but not this time. Not this time. I'm not letting you go, God. We know that Bible first describes him as a man, but we know that Jacob recognizes him as God himself, because later on he says, "I saw the face of God and my life was spared." But there comes a very, very interesting question. God, hearing Jacob saying, "I will not let you go unless you bless me," God is asking one question: "What is your name?" And I thought it was really funny, because God, you didn't even know what you were wrestling with. What is your name? What kind of question is that? But for Jacob, this was not a surprise, because Jacob was asked a very similar question 20 years ago when he was trying to take his brother's blessing. His father asked him a very similar question: "Who are you?" Twice. And Jacob answered him, "I am Esau." Jacob did not just deceive other people. He was not only deceived by other people, he also deceived himself. In Korea, there are a lot of newly coined words, and one of the newly coined words is 엄친아, which means mother's friend's child. It could be 엄친아 or 엄친딸, depending upon your gender. And what that means is that this 엄친아 represents a person who is always smarter than you, always prettier than you or more handsome than you, and always makes more money and more prestigious, gets a better job than you. And your mother or your father always talks about that person. Why can't you be like that person? And many Korean people growing up, they grow up thinking, like, why can't I be like that person? I want to be like that person. I want to be that 엄친아. And it actually breaks my heart to observe so many young people in Korea growing up with that 엄친아 syndrome. When God created us, He created us uniquely. He created us to be us. We certainly have many things to learn from other spiritual heroes, but God wants us to be all that God created us to be. When God blesses us, He blesses us to be authentic us, the genuine us, the real us, the ones beautifully and wonderfully designed by God in Christ. When Jacob was hearing this question, "What is your name?" 20 years later, he was finally able to answer, "I am Jacob." In fact, it is not possible for us to find ourselves unless we meet God, because only in God do we find our true selves. And God says to Jacob, "Now your name is no longer Jacob but Israel." But the new name Israel sounds very much like Jacob. Jacob means heel grabber, but Israel means God grabber. I believe that this new name, Israel, is something that God has originally designed for Jacob. When we encounter God, He blesses us. And when He blesses us, He changes our names, or He restores our identity. Anyone who is in Christ is a new creation. And thinking upon this verse, I wrote a song called "Upon the Cross." 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. 고아에서 아들로 거절해서 용납으로 죄인에서 의인으로 바꾸어 주셨네. 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. 저주에서 축복으로 원수에서 연인으로 장기에서 그분의 신부로 바꾸어 주셨네. 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. 십자가에서 그는 내 이름 바꾸셨네. And finally, Jacob responds to God saying, "Please tell me your name." We know that names in the Bible are very special. Names characterize personhood. When we know a person's name, we know that person. I know a friend of mine, whenever he prays like this, "Living God." And I know that whenever he prays, he means it, because he experiences the living presence of God on a daily basis. Some of my people that I know back in Korea, they always pray to God, "God, my healer," because that person experienced God as a healer. "God, my shepherd," "God, my support," "God, my strength." These people know God's names because they have known Him that way. "Please tell me your name" is the deepest cry of our heart when we come to know God, when we are born in Him. And that's the last part that Jacob responds to God with. As I conclude, I'd like to sing one last song. And this is a song that I wrote for my son. As a singer-songwriter, I'm not very well known, but this one song is something that everybody knows. So people do not know me, but they know this song. It's a song that I wrote for my son right before he was born. I was thinking about what to write. I was thinking about writing a lullaby, but then I thought that, this is the first gift that I am going to give to my son. So I'm going to say something serious. So, but he hasn't understood the song for many years, but now he does. He's now 16 years old. And I'm going to sing partly in Korean and partly in English. And this will be and I'll conclude with this song. 하나님은 너를 만드신 분, 너를 가장 많이 알고 계시며, 하나님은 너를 만드신 분, 너를 가장 깊이 이해하신단다. 하나님은 너를 지키시는 분, 너를 절대 포기하지 않으며, 하나님은 너를 지키시는 분, 너를 쉬지 않고 지켜보신단다. Oh, how his thoughts beyond measure, and his mercies without compare. His faithfulness with every morning new, and his unending love knows no bounds. He is the one whose heart is fixed on you. He wants to be with you more than all the world. He is the one whose heart is fixed on you, and he wants to be with you every moment. He is the one who will guide you all your days, whether through the raging storm or the wilderness. He is the one who will guide you all your days, and he will lead you into green pastures. Oh, how his thoughts beyond measure, and his mercies without compare. His faithfulness with every morning new, and his unending love knows no bounds. Oh, how his thoughts beyond measure, and his mercies without compare. His faithfulness with every morning new, and his unending love knows no bounds, and his unending love knows